Series at Busch Stadium in St. Louis. Jam-packed with giveaways and promotions, including one tonight. We'll talk about that momentarily. But this evening, it's Washington and St. Louis, the lone visit by the Nationals to the Gateway City. Sunday, everything you could ask for John Smoltz in his Cardinals debut. Al, he was terrific.
Well, he was outstanding, and for the first time this year, he's been able to finish his pitches. And when you do that, you have life on your pitches, whether it's a splitter or the slider. All of a sudden, you see that terrific movement at the end. He was blocking himself out, and that kept the ball up in the middle of the zone.
Tony La Russa was just saying moments ago that John Smoltz is actually nervous. A 42-year-old that's been one of the great postseason pitchers of all time. He's actually a little bit nervous making his home debut tonight. That's Al. I'm Dan. And the Cardinals have one of the top run producers and run scorers in all of baseball, and that's Albert Pujols.
Well, Pujols is just outstanding, and look at this. One more run, he will get the century mark, and that'll be 8th time in his first 9 years. Ryan Zimmerman is second in the National League.
When we come back, 5 stars that could stand out tonight in 55 seconds. 5 and 55. Some of the top players in the game in the lineup tonight for St. Louis. Here we go with 5 at 55 seconds, and we'll start with John Smoltz, who defeated the Padres on Sunday.
He was outstanding, 9 strikeouts, 5 shutout innings, including 7 strikeouts in a row. He'll be opposed by John Lannon. He was their opening day starter. He's pitched well against the Cardinals, but his last 4 starts, he struggled getting his sinker down. Matt Holliday, what a hitter in this ballpark. Over 400, 5 home runs, 16 RBIs this season. And Josh Willingham, he's one of their home run threats. He hit 2 grand slams in one game against Milwaukee, and you see his numbers at Busch Stadium. Albert Pujols, well, it doesn't matter. Any team, he's going to be a terrific hitter against them. Look at those lofty numbers in the 50 games lifetime against the Nationals.
So 5 key players for tonight to watch out for in 55 seconds. Steven Strasburg is in the fold for Washington. We'll take a look at the top picks when we come back. Food is on the grill here at Busch Stadium. Steven Strasburg, a big story in baseball. #1 overall pick. Let's go back to 2000 and the #1 overall pick since then. And we'll start out with Adrian Gonzalez.
See, Gonzalez, he's been a complete player. He's won a Gold Glove, 3 straight 30-plus home run seasons. He's a bona fide #1. Look at Minnesota, what they did with Joe Mauer. No argument here. Leading the major leagues with that 373 average. He's the real deal. Now you look at guys and you understand why Pittsburgh has lost so many games, 17 straight losing seasons. When you draft somebody like Bullington as #1 in the country, you're going to lose. Tampa Bay, Delman Young, still the jury's out. He's in the major leagues, still being productive, and we'll see how good he is over the course of his career. How about San Diego? Matt Bush. They did all right with Adrian Gonzalez, but Matt Bush, out of baseball, he was #1 pick in 04. Not a good experience. And you think of Justin Upton. This guy is got so much talent. He's still very young, in his early 20s, and hitting very well at the major league level. Kansas City, Hovichar. They got this guy. He's got a big plus arm, still trying to learn at the major league level. And David Price. Most people would tell you this guy's going to have a brilliant career. It's still a learning experience when you get to the big leagues so quickly. When I look at Tim Beckham, look at that arm angle. I don't like the way he throws at all. He's still an A-ball, but he's got a lot to learn. He looks like an injury waiting to happen with that throwing the arm. And, of course, Strasburg, most people say he's the best pick in many, many years. He gets a record bonus, 15.1, and the jury is still out.
Well, what it tells you, never a sure thing. The Nationals are hoping that Strasburg will be that. Ballpark giveaways all weekend long. We'll talk about it when we come back. We're edging closer to our first pitch. Busy weekend of giveaways here at Busch Stadium tonight. It's the Cardinals Ritz Bottle Giveaway. Don't forget about tomorrow night. It's always one of the most popular nights of the season. It'll be photo night here for game #2 as Mitchell Boggs will get that start. Then Sunday is a family Sunday. Terrace or pavilion reserved seat. You get a free hot dog and soda. Ice cream Sunday as well. And Adam Wainwright bobblehead day. And he'll make that start on his birthday this Sunday. Busy weekend here at Busch. Cardinals baseball on Fox Sports Midwest is brought to you by Bud Light. With just the right taste, it never fills you up. The difference is drinkability. By Steak and Shake, famous for steak burgers. By Auto Tire. For the lowest prices in town, we shop the competitors so you don't have to. By Chevy. See your Mid-America Chevy dealers or shop and compare at stlchevy.com. And by the State of Missouri Tobacco Quit Line. Call 1-800-QUIT-NOW. John Smoltz taking his warm-up tosses for the ball game here tonight. And about 3 or 4 minutes ago, the walk from the bullpen to the dugout and a standing ovation. I can't remember any time we've seen a starter get this in St. Louis.
These fans are amazing, and I got goosebumps just listening and watching what just happened there. And you were talking about John Smoltz being nervous. This veteran, this crowd will make him a little more nervous with that ovation. I'm sure that was a pleasant surprise.
A couple times he acknowledged the crowd on that walk from the bullpen to the dugout. Only time I remember ever seeing that was at Shea Stadium and Pedro Martinez. We were doing a game and Pedro would get a start. They would give him a standing ovation as he was coming in from the bullpen, but I don't remember that for a St. Louis Cardinals starter. Neat moment here at the ballpark. And so he had San Diego on Sunday, and he gets the Nationals here tonight. It's been a struggle, obviously, with Washington this year. They're 46-82, and the Cardinals at 74-55. Willie Harris, the center fielder, batting from the left side, will lead it off, and this will be our Domino's first pitch of the game. Now, last time out, Smoltz 70 pitches, and Tony La Russa, Dave Duncan, and John Smoltz all saying that tonight could be a different story. So he is starting to lengthen out a little bit, and the first pitch is a strike.
Well, John's a guy that did not like coming out of that game, but he totally understood that they were a little cautious trying to protect him. He hadn't pitched in about 18 days, but when he starts a game, he thinks at a minimum of 7 innings.
And a ground ball. Over to get it, Julio Lugo. One away. Season numbers for John Smoltz: 9 starts, a record of 3-5, and of course only a second start here with the Cardinals, and opponents hitting .326, and much of that was done by left-handed batters.
And of course, while he was released from Boston and working out at home in Atlanta, he found a little mechanical flaw. He was thrown across his body, and that didn't allow him to finish off his pitches. And lefties have really given him a lot of trouble, but that would make a lot of sense in my mind. And only the 3 hits that he allowed to San Diego were all to left-handed batters, so this is something to watch.
Here's Pete Orr. That's at slider, and he talked about his slider being as good as it's ever been on Sunday.
Well, that's what, you know, with the byproduct of throwing across your body, you block yourself off so you can't finish your pitches. If you're out in front in proper fashion, then you have the life at the end of your pitches, whether it's the slider or the splitter that you just threw. And of course, Pete Orr just called up today as Nigel Morgan is out for the year. He broke a bone in his hand, sliding head first. And Orr and Smoltz were teammates in Atlanta.
And a base hit on a pitch that looked to be up. And Orr reaches with a 1-2 pitch from Smoltz and a base hit into right field. A look at the Washington Nationals lineup tonight. And it's Willie Harris at the top, then Pete Orr, Zimmerman, Dunn, Willingham, Dukes, Bard, Gonzalez, and the pitcher John Lannon. Defense: Holiday, Rasmussen, Ludwig, DeRosa, Ryan, Lugo, and Pujols. And the battery tonight: John Smoltz and Yadier Molina. Cardinals defense presented by Auto Tire. Ryan Zimmerman, an outstanding year with a poor club. 27 home runs. He's driven in 88. Hitting behind him, Adam Dunn. And that's made a big difference for Ryan Zimmerman this year.
And Dan, this is a very good lineup. You can talk about the poor record, but offensively, they're going to score some runs. Their problem has been pitching. 27 home runs, a new career high for Jim Riegelman, the interim manager. We hope he loses that interim.
And a 1-0 pitch. Molina sets up outside. It's a strike. 1 ball, 1 strike.
John Smoltz, combined record against the Expos and Nationals, 21 wins in his Hall of Fame career.
1-1 pitch to Zimmerman. Here it comes. There's that slider outside. visited with John Mozeliak before the game tonight. And I asked him, I said, in acquiring John Smoltz, of course you're acquiring a Hall of Fame pitcher, but a guy that can give so much knowledge to this young pitching staff. How much did that factor in trying to get him? He said a lot. He said, you know, he's going to be with us throughout the year, and we want our young players to go talk to him, and he is willing to give his knowledge.
No doubt about it. You know, he prefers to be asked, but as he gets to know his teammates, if someone doesn't ask him, he will say, hey, do you mind if I give you a tip here or there? You know, Wainwright is already he is a mentor to Wainwright, like Carpenter.
Think about if you're Mitchell Boggs, you can go to Carpenter, Wainwright, Smoltz. You've got an all-star closer out there. Pinheiro is having a terrific year. And he'd be crazy not to go up and talk to those guys.
Well, remember, and John's even admitted at times some of the young teammates are in awe of him. But he is very open. He'll go out there. Remember the great scene we saw him talking with Carpenter?
Throw to second, and it goes into center field. And Orr on his way to third. Throw will come into third base, and Pete Orr winds up at third on a ball that may have been able to be caught, but started to tail a little bit there on Lugo, and it'll be a stolen base and an error on Molina.
Well, my little pet peeve is why does that guy be able to get up after sliding and go to third base? Why doesn't the center fielder start coming in as the throw is being made? You can see it's offline. You can see it's sailing. And once again, Tony wants the offense and sacrifices defense, but Lugo's got to avoid trying to make the tag and keep that ball in his glove. Don't let it go to the outfield.
3-2 and a strikeout of Brian Zimmerman. It's a big strikeout early on in this game for John Smoltz.
Well, once again, that's that slider. Look at the bite on it. Starts in the middle of the plate, slides all the way down and away out of the strike zone. But remember, too, what I said. You know, he's really had trouble with left-handed bats. When he was with Boston, they hit .440 against him. All 4 hits he is allowed now in the National League have been off a left-handed bat. Maybe you think about walking the guy.
I'm thinking that, too. You've got Josh Willingham hits from the right side on deck, and this is done. We know what kind of damage he can do. Slider in there for a strike. Adam Dunn. You can just about pencil him in every year, it looks like, for 40 home runs and close to 100 RBIs.
And now playing first base, they were really worried with that hurt. And there you see the reason why Tony is letting Smoltz face him.
2 for 14 is done. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Sometimes you get in trouble when you look at those lifetime marks and not take into consideration that this is a John Smoltz that's really trying to having a hard time against left-handed batters right now.
Smoltz wearing number 30, and Chris Carpenter was willing to give him number 29.
And Smoltz said a number means nothing.
Here's a 1-1 pitch with 2 outs. Backhanded by Lugo. Settles. Throws. Got him. He got him. About 20 yards back on the outfield grass. Lugo makes the play. Takes the hit and RBI away from Adam Dunn. What a play here. Nice round of applause for Julio Lugo as he came up with that play in shallow right field. The second baseman of the Cardinals to end the top of the first and bails out Smoltz. Lugo will lead it off, and then Brendan Ryan and Albert Pujols, Matt Holliday, Ryan Ludwig, Mark DeRosa, Yadier Molina, Colby Rasmus, and the pitcher John Smoltz. And the Cardinals facing a lefty, John Lannon. The Cardinals, since the acquisition of Matt Holliday, are now 10-2 against lefty starters. And Lannon is just a game below 500, our Marshall Wireless starter, with a record of 8-9. Been beat up a little bit lately, though. Lugo hustling, play at first, and they get him by a step for the first out. Defense behind the lefty tonight for the Washington Nationals, presented by Auto Tire. Willingham, Harris, and Dukes in the outfield. Zimmerman, Gonzalez, Orr, and Dunn. They're on the infield, and the battery tonight is Lannon and Josh Bard.
Lannon has pitched well in 2 previous starts against the Cardinals. 2 quality starts, but he's 0-2. First start this year against the Cardinals, and his sinker had not been working the last 4 starts. Everything been up.
Be interested to see the kind of ovation that John Smoltz will get when he hits. That's normally when a new player gets that ovation because it's a position player. But
right.
You know, tonight a little bit different story with Smoltz making his way in from the bullpen, and it should be another neat moment here at Busch Stadium.
Well, let's hope he's hits here in the first inning, and that'd be a good sign, wouldn't it?
Yes, it would. That's a foul ball. Cardinals trying to bounce back after a real disappointing loss yesterday, but the Cubs saw Washington take 2 of 3 at Wrigley, so they don't gain any ground on St. Louis. Hit left side. Zimmerman spins and throws. One thing he can do is not just hit, but also play defense. He is Gold Glove caliber over there at third base.
And you're absolutely right, but are you surprised he's had 14 errors?
Very surprised, and I guess the only reason that he does, and you talk to the Washington people, they say it's kind of like a Pujols thing where he's so aggressive and he's got a lot of range, and he will take chances, and sometimes those chances turn into errors, which I don't think you mind from a young player.
Well, he is an exceptional player and the best player on their team.
Played at the University of Virginia, the Cavaliers, who made it to the College World Series this year as they beat Ole Miss in the Super Regional. First time ever in their history of baseball in that program, and one of the faces of that school is Ryan Zimmerman, who made a nice donation to the baseball program just recently.
Now, I don't want to interrupt an Albert Pujols at bat, but you mean they never won 3 straight when Ricky Horton was there?
No.
NCAA championship?
No.
Oh. How about that pitch?
2-2. Pujols way out in front.
Ricky very proud of his alma mater, though.
As he should be.
Yes.
2 balls, 2 strikes here on Pujols. They want to go inside, and Pujols hits it slowly back to Lannon. He'll step and throw, and the Cardinals go quietly here at the bottom of the first. After 1 here in St. Louis, there's no score.
3.
Earlier today, North St. Louis, Cardinals Care back at it again. It's Bob Gibson Field. There have now been 18 fields that have been built because of Cardinals Care. They have raised nearly $14 million since its inception back in 1997. And that goes right back to the kids in the community, 100% of that money. And one of the things that they do, even if it is in some of the fields are in poor neighborhoods and some aren't, but what they do is the Cardinals also chip in money every year to make sure that the fields are kept up. So any of those fields you go to are very, very nice. And that was Bob Gibson Field. Now, he was not there with us this morning at 9 a.m., but pitching in, Lou Brock. And Lou was very gracious with his wife, Jackie, to be there, and both took part in a real neat ceremony. So congratulations to Michael Hall and the folks of Cardinals Care with another field. And apparently number 19 is right around the corner, too, with another Hall of Famer.
Anytime I see, that unveiling like that, I think about a story that Joe Fleming told me, my good buddy. He went to a little town in Kentucky where Don Gullett's from. And they had a big deal. It was Don Gullett Day, the band's playing, everything. They had a bust on Don Gullett. They had a sheet over it. And when they went to unveil it, the bust fell off the pedestal.
Well, I was getting a little worried. I was emceeing it today, and at the podium, it started to get a little windy and rainy, and I'm thinking, this thing's going to fall over any time if I let go of it. And we also did it right in front of the mound, and the mound was pretty slick. I was afraid somebody was going to slip out there. But everything went as planned. It was a real neat day. 2-1 pitch is hit in the air out to right. Ludwig initially didn't see it. Now he does, and he'll make the catch. If you're traveling and can't catch the Cardinals TV broadcast, catch all the action on your computer at MLB.tv. Over 100 live out-of-market games per week. For complete details, visit STLCardinals.com, where baseball is always on. Fred Hanser was out there, Bill DeWitt, Cardinals president, Tony La Russa, and the Hall of Famer, Lou Brock. Up the middle, but positioned perfectly. Lugo, a broken bat, and Elijah Dukes is out number 2. Now you wonder if that first inning, if now the nerves will calm down a little bit for John Smoltz and really can just start to relax and have a little fun out there.
Well, you really you still have what they call fire in the belly. Almost every time you take the mound, you do have a little bit of butterflies, a little bit of nervousness, but once the game starts, you usually, you put that aside and you just focus on what your job is.
We did have a little bit of a drizzle right before the game, and infield is a little slick. Dirt on the cleats of Smoltz. 2 outs and nobody on, and that pitch is a strike on the outside corner to Bard.
Bard's a switch hitter, and he's signed with the Nationals after going to spring training with Boston. Boston doesn't have a lot of patience, do they?
Not at all. Brad Penny, the latest.
Yes.
He's out of there too. Little slider that time, and that one at 77. Now a couple of those breaking pitches have been around 84, 85, and Smoltz has hit 92, 93 on the gun with the fastball.
Remember, he has a split finger pitch. Just going to be down and see. That probably was it there.
I mean, think about what he accomplished on Sunday, which had not been done in the Cardinals' history. He strikes out 9 in the game, but 7 in a row. 7 in a row.
Back in the 50s, right?
It's amazing. 1-2 the count.
That's after an 18-day layoff.
Molina wants it outside, gets it there, but doesn't get the call, and it's 2-2. Cardinals, I know some of the fan base was asking the question yesterday, why did they pull Carpenter? And after the game, Carpenter even said, I wasn't quite where I need to be, but 98 pitches, he was lifted in the game, and everything's set up for the Cardinals to win it, just couldn't quite execute at the very end.
Yeah, and we talked about during the telecast that Carpenter, was not having his typical stuff. He let a few calls kind of get under his skin. Remember, he walked 2 guys in a row.
First time
he had,
yeah, first time he had ever done that.
Yeah, the 8th and 9th hitters. And so he just wasn't quite as sharp as normal. And usually you turn it over to Kyle McClellan, and he was going to be allowed to get a 5-out save, but it just wasn't to be, and made it a little easier with the Cubs losing.
And a swing and a miss, a strikeout at number 2 on the night for John Smoltz. Holiday leads it off when we come back. Center fielder Willie Harris used to do this in Little League. Sometimes you just kind of throw those pop-ups to yourself, and that's how you get loose.
Nobody wants to play catch with him. There's another former Atlanta Brave.
That's right.
Remember the career night he had against the Cardinals?
I do remember that.
Was it 6 hits? 6 for 6?
Yep.
Willie who?
And now he's with the Nationals and in center field, and there's a gap there in left center now for Matt Holliday. First plate appearance for Matt on the night.
Eddie Sutton is in the house.
Former Kentucky and Oklahoma State coach. Holliday inside that third base line, and Holliday is digging for 2. Boy, he just takes that vicious rip. He homered first time up yesterday. He decides to let it rip. I mean, he lets it go. And of course, Holliday, Oklahoma State, his dad was a coach there. I'm sure he's got a history with Eddie Sutton.
And I'll explain that a little bit, but let's watch this vicious cut. Lifts that leg to keep his weight back, puts it down, and then that bat explodes through the zone. Hits that double, the one-handed follow through. Exmo Cam brought to you by Hot Shots, 1 block south of the ballpark on Broadway.
And so Eddie Sutton now.
Yeah, well, Eddie, said he's known Matt Holliday for a long time. Talked to his father today. His father now is at NC State. He's the baseball coach there, and Eddie Sutton said, Mr. Holliday, Coach Holliday said, my son absolutely loves it in St. Louis. I bet.
That's what he told me. I mean, he's been raving about the experience he's had here. And I mentioned before that I talked to John Mozeliak today, and one of the questions I asked him was about, when do you start to approach DeRosa, Holliday, Smoltz, if you want to keep him around? And he said, we're now getting into that time where, Holliday, like McGuire, like in Edmonds, there's Whitey Herzog, but we wanted them to experience this atmosphere here in St. Louis, take it in for a little bit, not put pressure on him, but then at some point you do have to start thinking about the club and saying, okay, where are you at? This is what we're thinking, and let's get some dialogue going back and forth.
Well, this Cardinal Nation, this environment that you play in a nightly basis, and it sure doesn't hurt that, are they 22-9 since he's joined the ball club on July 24th. Winning is a great selling point. His teammates, the clubhouse, everything about this environment he's fallen in love with.
2-2 pitch. Misses in. 3-2 on Ludwig.
And Dan, it probably was a great help for the Cardinals in trying to sign him by his experience in Oakland. Just going to another place and seeing what it's like not winning and being interjected back into a pennant race.
This is slicing down the right field line and out of play. And Matt even talked about that. He said, no disrespect to Oakland. He said, but it's not what you have here. Sea of red, 40,000 fans. He said any major league city is a great city to play in because you're in the major leagues. But there are some that are just head and shoulders above the rest, and he puts St. Louis right in that category.
And if you think about it, remember when he came in as a visiting Rocky, he just tore up Cardinal pitching, every place, but especially in this ballpark. He hit near 500, and so he just gets to do it against different pitchers.
Well, he said when asked about, and I asked him, I said, has it been something that has stood out for you, this atmosphere? And we were talking about a week ago about it. He said, yes and no. He said, when you're playing with the Cardinals and you're part of the home team, that's one thing. He said, but because I remember numerous occasions, we come in the middle of the week, in the middle of the summer, and there's 40,000 people when he was with the Rockies. He said, it's hard not to notice that as a visiting player. He said, you love it. Coming up after the game, it's Cardinals Live, broadcast from the Aqua Bar at Lumiere Place Casino. Watch player interviews and Tony La Russa plus Pat Barris and Rick Horton break down the game. It's U.S. Cellular Cardinals Live after the game right here on Fox Sports Midwest. First walk allowed by Lannon, and here is Mark DeRosa. DeRosa, base hit into left field. Holliday is held up. Throw comes in from Willingham, and the bases are loaded. Nobody out.
Slowly,
Yadier Molina.
Slowly, DeRosa is starting to really pick up the pace. As Mark 4 for his last 8, and you see Holliday thinking about scoring, but held up by Oquendo. DeRosa has hit in 14 of his last 20 games, about 320.
Bases loaded, nobody out.
A ground ball pitcher on the mound.
And that pitch taken a little bit low. Early in this game, Holliday, Ludwig, DeRosa all aboard, and Jose Oquendo holding up Holliday. Chance for Molina. 2 balls and no strikes. I was watching Holliday make the turn around first to second, and I wonder if this also factored in the equation for Jose Oquendo. I mentioned the rain before, and they put a lot of that drying agent down. Holliday did not look real comfortable running. I mean, it looked like it was a tough footing out there as he was trying to go into second base. It may have factored into the equation.
Sure.
2-0 pitch.
Well, the Cardinals have been having trouble scoring runs. They're 7-3 in their last 10 games, but only .220 batting average. Not a lot of in those last 10, only 19 extra base hits, so you won't want to run into an out at home plate. And Yadi, one of the more better guys that you like as an RBI man.
Molina, little chopper to second, or rather short. That's a double play, but a run will score. They step on the bag at second. Holliday scores. The Cardinals were 4 for 27 with runners in scoring position in this series against Houston. And amazingly enough, the Cardinals were just one or maybe two hits away from a series sweep, especially in yesterday's later innings. In the 7th, Molina on second, one out, stranded. 8th, Pujols on second, one out. He was stranded. In the 9th, DeRosa on second, one out, and he was stranded. So the Cardinals certainly had their chances to bust that game open. Back to Lannon. And Rasmus, retired, is done. Steps on the bag. Cardinals score first, though. It's 1-0. Wednesday night on Cardinals Live, our buddy Jim Hayes introduced us to an Irish setter named Heidi, one of the adoptable pets from Purina Pro Plan and PetSmart Charities. PetSmart Charities adoption centers are available 7 days a week in every PetSmart store. This weekend, if you're thinking about welcoming a loving dog or cat into your home, visit a PetSmart store. And for more information about Purina Pro Plan support for adoptable pets, visit PetSmartCharities.org. There's Heidi, and here's Jim. He's with us in the booth.
That's a beautiful Irish setter. Someone should pick her up.
I was going to say, that one won't last long.
Yeah, I agree.
The cat and the dog.
And you play nice, don't you?
I do.
First pitch, a strike by Smoltz to Alberto Gonzalez, the 8th place hitter. Then John Lannon on deck. And the top of the order, Willie Harris. Cardinals lead it. We're in the 3rd. It's 1-0. And Jim has been kind enough to join us. And just going back to that just for a moment, I've noticed the players get a kick out of seeing the dogs, and you see the Cardinals 60-18 when scoring first.
I didn't know this until we started doing that adoption segment, but a lot of the players, I knew they had dogs, but many of them have adopted dogs, and so when they hear that there's a dog that needs a home, they jump right in.
All right, 1-2 here, the count on Gonzalez, who's hitting .256. Molina sets up outside, gets it there, and it's spoiled.
If I'm not mistaken, that before we started doing
There's
this,
Heidi, by the way.
before we started doing this program, when the Cardinals had that adoption day here at the ballpark, when Jason LaRue adopted 2 dogs on the spot.
Yeah, he's one that is going to help us with our next pet adoption. And he's, I just asked him. He's like, absolutely, I love dogs. So.
Up the middle and past Brendan Ryan into center field for a leadoff base hit. So John Smoltz, Jim, getting the start tonight. A little bit of nerves he talked about before the game.
He talked about nerves for his last start on the road and went on pitched 5 scoreless innings. After that, I did have a chance to talk to him, and he said you have to remember, he's still a work in progress. But he said they were nervous for coming here to St. Louis because he understands about the fan base and the excitement around Cardinal baseball, and he's feeling it.
Well, and he also comes at the right time. Wellemeyer's out, Loesch is out, which at the time the Cardinals, when they signed him, they didn't know that. So this has worked out quite nicely with the timing of it.
And again, one of the things he liked about the situation in St. Louis is he can come in here, he can try to start, but there's not that much pressure for him to be the dominant guy right away, not at the front of the rotation. Some teams might expect more from him.
Yeah, and I think the one thing that really helps out is the fact that he said that the Cardinals have a comfortable lead, so he could have a couple starts. He will accept whatever role they designate him later, but he requested a couple starts so he could kind of find himself. Meaning what you're talking about, he's still a work in progress.
3rd strikeout for Smoltz so far. Lannon could not advance Gonzalez, and there's a look at Carpenter. We talked about this earlier, Jim. The fact is, Mitchell Boggs or any of these young pitchers, even young players, I mean, think about the group of starters they can go talk to. Smoltz, Carpenter, Wainwright, Pinheiro. I mean, it's a wealth of knowledge down there.
Boggs told me, and he'll start tomorrow, that he feels better about this start because he's just been sitting back and watching the way the other starters go about their business. And he said he's picked up a lot of things, and he feels very confident about his
Did
start.
he talk specifics?
No scouting reports. Dan.
Okay, I didn't think so.
The one thing that works against Mitchell Boggs is it'll be like 11 days since he's last pitched.
He said that's on him, though. He said it's up to him to do whatever it takes to get himself ready for the start. And he feels like he will be. He has talked a lot to the other starters, and again, he says by watching the way they handle their games, he's picked up some things he thinks will help him.
Good. No balls and a strike here on Willie Harris. He grounded out to second, first time up. 1 out, runner at first. Cardinals leading 1-0. And that's a strike. Al, you always talk about Gibson and McCarver. Well, tonight it's Molina and Smoltz, and those two have not seen themselves disagreeing on what he's putting down to call.
I think that's just the preparation. You know, you go into the game with a game plan, you stick to it.
And a ground ball off the glove of Pujols and into right field. So Gonzalez will wind up at third base, and it'll be first and third. Base hit there, and only one out. 6 is a serious number. The Cardinals score 6. You get a 20-ounce coffee found in a frozen drink for just $1 the next day at On the Run at Mobile. Win or lose, Cardinals score 6. You score 25-cent drinks at On the Run. One of the guys that you had the chance to visit with today, Skip Schumacher, on the pregame show.
Yeah, we had a little fun with Skip today. I asked him, are you a second baseman now? I know he believes he still has a lot to learn about playing that position. But at this point, are you a second baseman? He said not yet. He still has a ton to learn.
And we have seen that Tony La Russa has used him late in games, which was something that he did not do earlier in the season. So Skip is finishing up games.
I think he's earned that.
By the way, we showed the results of the Insta poll we did, Dan, with you in the pregame yesterday. The Cardinals unsung hero, and of course we had 3 choices: Skip, Joel Pinheiro, and Ryan Franklin.
Right.
I voted for Franklin. You and Pat voted for Skip. I had to give full disclosure and tell Skip I voted for Ryan. He said he would have voted for Ryan Franklin too.
And what was the final tally on the votes?
The fans voted, and Skip won. Of course, you spoke for, I think, 94% of that segment. Wow.
Al, it is true.
Went on and on.
You can't tell a lie.
You did speak so much. I just
we couldn't
was like I wasn't even there.
Of course, we couldn't find Al. And then I didn't realize that afterwards I was supposed to be throwing it back and forth, so I just kept filling and filling and filling.
By talking.
Yes.
And I had like 12 seconds to make my pitch for Ryan Franklin. By then, the damage was done.
Well, but I also said on the broadcast yesterday that I agreed with Schumacher because I thought the transition was such a drastic and so rarely done, where you knew that I felt Franklin would be fine as a closer, and I thought
you can't go wrong with any of the choices.
Pinheiro was going to be in the rotation, so he had, he's going to have responsibility. But you're right. Isn't it nice we have choices?
And the Cardinals are making a choice. Apparently, they're on the verge of bringing Franklin back into the fold, a deal that would pick up the option for next year and extend it for a season. I talked to Ryan a bit about that, and he said the reason why he likes it here so much, or at least a big part of it, is Tony La Russa. He said he's never played for a better manager.
Isn't it interesting when we hear the players when they get to St. Louis? There's John Mozeliak, who said today that Tony might be the most competitive individual he's ever been around. But, guys from afar, and I'm sure John Smoltz is one of them, you look at Tony in a different light than when you play for him. It's such a drastic change in how you view Tony and Dunk and the rest of the crew.
Well, when DeRosa showed up, Tony said, hey, don't judge me on what you think. Judge me now that you're my player. When you're sitting in the other dugout. And really, it is a compliment when some guys, dislike Tony from afar because they don't understand him. They see a lot of things. Remember when we first came here, he used to drive us crazy about his overmanaging. But then as you get to understand him and realize that he's doing everything in order to win. I mean, there's still things that drive me crazy, but I know in his mind he feels like he has to do that to be competitive.
Well, Franklin said that it's the preparation and his handling of his personnel that impresses him most about Tony La Russa. For example, Franklin wasn't pitching yesterday. Tony let him know. Franklin wanted to pitch, and he said, I'm not going to argue with Tony because the moves he makes are usually warranted.
And that's the same thing, Smoltz wanted to go longer in that game, but he, a real professional, goes, okay, I don't make those decisions. Carpenter says the same thing. I'm going to go as long and as hard as I can, but when they take the ball away from me, I don't think twice about it.
2-2 is hit into right. The catch is made by Ludwig. A run will score, and we're tied up at 1-1. So the RBI for Orr, who has made a Quick impression here. First game back with a stolen base, a single, and now an RBI here in this first 3 innings with the Nationals.
You talk about a guy adapting, though. Schumacher's done it this season by moving to second. But you remember when Ryan Franklin came to the Cardinals, he wanted a spot in that starting rotation.
That's right.
In fact, he was upset because he felt the Cardinals didn't give him enough of a look. I said, based on, your feeling at that time, would you have believed that you are where you are now in terms of being the all-star closer? And he said he never would have believed it.
And is happy.
A swing and a miss there by Zimmerman. Well, if you think about it down the road, what happens with John Smoltz, meaning in 09? We're about a month away from postseason play. And at that point in time, the Cardinals probably will have the luxury, if everything goes to form, that either they could keep Smoltz in this rotation or move him to the bullpen and let him probably settle into that role for a week or 10 days.
They will say, even John Mozeliak will say, well, at some point Smoltz may be in the bullpen because they don't want to say we're going to the playoffs.
And he got him. John Smoltz. We're going to hear the reaction that he'll get when he comes to the plate when we come back.
Pitcher John Smoltz.
As good as it gets, isn't it?
Good as it gets. And of course, these fans may not realize, but this is a terrific athlete, and he can help himself with the bat too.
I think they saw some of that athleticism when he was running in San Diego and how well he was running around the bases. I mean, he was moving.
He helped his own cause, no question. This is really the second standing O he got.
Right.
I think the first time Cardinal Nation saw him was walking across the field. He got a standing O, hadn't even done anything yet.
Yeah, we were talking about that. It's the first time we can remember starting pitcher getting that acknowledgement.
Strikeout of Smoltz. First strikeout for Lannon. And by the way, a classy move by John Lannon, who stepped off the mound to allow the fans to give the ovation. The standing O for John Smoltz.
Well, it wasn't so classy for him to strike him out, though.
Got to compete, Al. You have to compete.
Now, you guys see what goes on in the clubhouse. And when a new guy comes, sometimes he bonds right away. But you see Smoltz in the clubhouse, guys are gathered around him, just kind of sitting on every word he says.
As they should.
Yeah.
Here is Julio Lugo, grounded out back in the first. He made a good play at second base. The outfield grass to take a hit away from Adam Dunn with a runner at third base and saved a run. Quickly, no balls and 2 strikes with 1 out, and nobody on here in the Cardinals half of the third. Cardinals are 74-55, 19 games above 500.
And I remember when we were in Washington talking about how the Nationals were, as bad as their record is, that they weren't that bad at home. But that means they got to be really bad on the road. And their record, they have 19-43 record on the road.
And a swing and a miss by Lugo. So 2 strikeouts. Everything you knew about fantasy football is about to change. Introducing the all-new Fox Fantasy Football with more customized features and new ways to play. Log on to foxsports.com on MSN and join the next generation of fantasy football. Jim, you're down there all the time and you visit with the players. It is amazing when a team is winning like this and there still is a newness to this, a freshness. Smoltz wasn't at the beginning of the season. Holiday wasn't. Lugo wasn't. DeRosa wasn't. But they can't wait to get to the park.
They're having fun. Everyone's having fun. That happens when you win. Even Al's having fun.
See you on the postgame. Cardinals baseball on Fox Sports Midwest is brought to you by Kia Motors. To learn more, visit kia.com. And by the Casino Queen Hotel and Casino, home of the loosest slots. Top of the fourth in a 1-1 game. Washington and St. Louis back in downtown St. Louis at a cool night. 78 degrees. And Smoltz back to work. Zimmerman was left standing last inning after Molina gunned down Willie Harris, caught him stealing for the third and final out.
I'm not used to seeing early in the ball game 2 steal attempts against Yadier Molina.
Hey, if you're Jim Riggleman, what do you have to lose, right?
Right.
19 road wins, as you talked about. They start play tonight, 28.5 games out. Good baseball man, isn't he?
Yes, he is, and I'm very happy for him back in, in the manager's chair. And he left St. Louis, and a lot of people speculated that maybe he thought he was in line if Tony didn't re-sign this last time. And he told me, he goes, no, I turned down one big league job, and he was running the Cardinals minor league system. And I felt like, and then he had another big league job to go to Seattle, and he said, I felt like if I turned that one down, I'd never get another shot. So he went up to Seattle, and things have all worked out as he started as the bench coach for Manny Acta this year. And when Manny was let go, Jim was the interim manager.
3-1 pitch, missed, and a leadoff walk. Well, the Cardinals, we make so much of the lineup, but bottom line is they have been able to pitch. And since July 27th, first or second in many of the major categories. This is our key to the game, and it comes down to pitching.
We always talk about it sets the tone for a ball game, and without pitching, you just cannot win. You just can't outslug enough teams to do it.
Here is Dunn. The shift is on, and it's pulled foul.
With the runner on first base, now Lugo is playing at the edge of the outfield grass instead of playing about 20 yards deep.
And a fine play to take a hit away from Dunn in the first, and that saved a run from scoring.
Couldn't get out of the way of it.
Hard hit ball. Wants it low and away, gets it there, but just missed. Mike Rizzo is now officially the Nationals GM as he took over for Jim Bowden, who was in a scandal. And Rizzo was formally introduced a couple of weeks ago as now their official GM. And one of the first points of business for him was to get the Strasburg deal done. And the Lerner family actually hired him on a Wednesday. They introduced Strasburg on a Friday, and they said they wanted to make that announcement with Steven Strasburg. So he had to wait, even though he was signed up, to tell his family and friends exactly what was going on. And there were reports that he was going to be fired. And he said his son was watching television, and on the scroll below it said that Mike Rizzo has been let go. And his 19-year-old son called up his dad and said, I'm sorry about the job. I can't believe it. And then he said, the cat was out of the bag. You know what? I did get the job. Don't worry about it. Formal announcement on Friday. 1-2 pitch. They said it was Rizzo who had a really big part in getting the Strasburg deal completed. And according to Scott Boras, Rizzo stepped away from the Nationals' 22-person war room, went into his office, and basically got the deal done with Scott Boras.
Well, and Mike Rizzo has a background in player development and scouting. And that's what this club or this organization needs a lot of, because they got some work. They really have some veteran players, and Adam Dunn was one of the best signings of the year, not only for Washington, but of any of the free agents. He's had a terrific season.
3-2 the count. Watch out here. He got him. Little breaking ball catches the outside corner, and Dunn shaking his head. He strikes out. And this is our Exmo Cam presented by Hot Shot Sports Bar and Grill. One away after the strikeout of Dunn.
Well, it's a backdoor slider, meaning by that you try to have a left-handed hitter give up on it, thinking that it's going to be a ball outside, and then at the last second that late break over to the corner and frees a lot of hitters.
That's 4 tonight for John Smoltz. There's that slider again. Going back to Strasburg just for a moment, Al. They also said that Rizzo went and met with his family out in California and really impressed his parents and the folks around him because he didn't have any gimmicky ticket sales appearances in Washington in September. Hadn't pitched since May, so that wasn't going to happen. And he also said, I have a throwing program leading up to the instructional league. So Strasburg, they say, is going to have 5 to 6 starts in the Arizona Fall League and a total of approximately 40 innings between the instructional and Arizona leagues, and then an invite to the Major League camp in spring training, which is the way to do it.
Sure.
Here's a 1-1 pitch.
You know, Dan, a lot of times organizations, particularly with the college players, and I would not think that this would be the case for Strasburg with Tony Gwynn being the manager at San Diego State, but sometimes with major league organizations feel like the college coaches abuse
2-1 hit out to left. Holiday there.
They abuse the pitchers to such a degree that they're hopeful that it's going to be a late signing so they can really rest their arm. And really, sometimes even if they do sign a player, they go, hey, take the rest of the year off. You need it from the college abuse. That was one of the reasons why Pagnozzi stopped coaching at the college level, because he was too concerned about guys that had a future in professional baseball.
Al, I saw a kid this last year in the college game who was a projected first-round pick next year, a 6'5" lefty who throws hard. He threw over 140 pitches on a Friday and then came back that weekend on Sunday and pitched 2 1/3. And that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, and that's happens frequently, especially with teams that go to Omaha.
Here's an 0-1 pitch to Dukes. .236 average at the start of play tonight. 8 home runs. He's driven in 51. Grounded out to second. First time up. Washington and St. Louis, game 1 of this 3-game series. Short lead at first by Zimmerman. In the dirt, trying to get him to chase again. Cincinnati leading the Dodgers 4-0. That's in the bottom of the 6th. Milwaukee, we'll see them on Tuesday. They lead Pittsburgh 6-4 in the bottom of the 3rd.
Talk about this Nationals offense. They've scored more runs than the Cardinals in 1 fewer game.
And that's off the glove of Brendan Ryan. No need to throw. The pick there by Pujols.
Little things Ryan needs to learn is how to play under control. I mean, there are plays like that. You mentioned it's totally unnecessary. Once you have the bobble, don't complicate it. You're totally off balance. Albert does a nice job to vacate the bag, go out there and catch that ball. But you know, he played so good defensively, and there are going to be times that balls will get through him. It's a base hit, but don't complicate things by trying to play out of control.
And now you get a left-handed hitter in Bard. And Bard struck out back in the 2nd inning. Smoltz tonight has struck out 4. He has walked 1. And the Nationals have 4 base hits. Runners at first and second. Time called. Cardinals will have Pujols, Holiday, and Ludwig coming up in the bottom of the 4th. Mentioned all the giveaways this weekend. The water bottle tonight, photo night tomorrow. Note the start time, 6:15 first pitch. A busy day here at the ballpark on Sunday with the Adam Wainwright bobblehead. You see the first pitch strikes, 14 of 17. Also an ice cream sundae and a family sundae this weekend. Oh-2. And a ground ball hit to Pujols. Smoltz over to cover. Steps on the bag. Nationals strand 2. Big bats coming up for St. Louis in a 1-1 game. to bring you up to speed with the AT&T Rapid Rewind. AT&T, the nation's fastest 3G network. AT&T, your world delivered. Tied up 1-1. Here's Pujols. Takes a ball low and away. Cardinals started this series against Houston with a 1-0 win. Adam Wainwright 8 innings, and Pujols had the only RBI that night. 15th win, nationally leading 15th win for Wainwright. Pinheiro would take game 2. And again, it's back to Lannon. Off the bat of Pujols. He's 0 for 2. Second time he's done that tonight.
Well, Lannon is, prior to tonight, had been struggling the last 4 games trying to get his sinker down. Look at where Josh Bard, the catcher, puts that glove. And right down there, and Albert hits it right off the end of the bat. A little tapper back to the mound. And I want to send big get well wishes to a big Cardinal fan, Ken Burstman. He's watching this game at Barnes Hospital. Ken, get well and get back out to the ballpark.
Holiday retired quickly, 2 outs. North Stars making this Sunday extra special ice cream Sundays beginning 2 hours prior to the game in the Ford Plaza. You can join us for music, fun, games, and don't forget about the free ice cream while supplies last. North Star Ice Cream Sundays. Tom Hankey was signing autographs in the Ford Plaza tonight. Saw you visiting with him.
Yep. Good guy. And his golf tournament same day as yours, October 12th. Now, I'm reminding you again, Dan, so you'll know.
Thank you, Al.
Hey. Tom Henke's is in Jeff City, and yours is at Norwood Hills.
Yeah, we're gonna sell it out again. Been able to raise over $1 million with that golf tournament and the fundraiser afterwards. Very proud of it, and all goes to the Special Education Foundation. We have a lot of fun. 4 straight, and Ludwig walks. And it brings in Mark DeRosa. Second time that Ryan has walked. And Sunday afternoon, catch the women's professional soccer all-star game live from the Anheuser-Busch Soccer Park in Fenton. Hope Solo will be there. And the stars of women's professional soccer Sunday at 4:30 on Fox Sports Midwest. And 2 outs. DeRosa fouls it back. Here's the 0-2 instead of check on Ludwig over at first. In the air to shallow right field, and making the catch, Dukes. 1-1 after 4. Coming up, it's Fox Saturday Baseball, and this weekend, Mets and Cubs. 2 teams that have been frustrated, no doubt, with the way that things have gone. The Mets, all kinds of injuries basically since opening day, and the Cubs haven't got on track either. 1-1, top of the 5th rolls in. And Smoltz will be extended certainly in this game, as he's now over 70 pitches and makes a nice play.
Shows you what kind of an athlete he is, fielding his position. Puts himself in a pretty good fielding position, but that ball hit hard. You know, you're kind of charging That ball right back at you. You're about 55 feet away. Primary mission is to throw the baseball as well as you can to home plate, and if you can field your position, so much the better.
Smoltz could have a quick inning here with the pitcher Lannon, and after that one pitch and an out, Lannon tried to sacrifice back in the third inning and was called out on strikes.
And that's the way you look at it. You know, you really try to dissect the innings, and also, you know, the heart of the order. You know, they're going to give you some trouble. You try to keep the top of the order off base, but you have to absolutely dominate against the lower third. That's your breathing room.
And a swing and a miss, and Smoltz picks up strikeout number 5. Attention high school students and guidance counselors, the Cardinals are hosting the 5th annual Career Day September 16th against Florida. Now, prior to that game, it's an afternoon game. Be a program in the morning featuring Cardinals executives. John Mozeliak will be there. Andy Bennis will be there. Kerry Robinson. Number to call is 345-9500. As always, log on to STLCardinals.com. In the air, out to right. Backing up a bit, Ludwig to make the catch. Midway through 5. Only 6 pitches for Smoltz in that inning, and it's 1-1. Always interesting to see draft picks and how it all turns out. So these are pitchers picked number 1 overall. And the latest, Steven Strasburg, who knows? David Price, jury's still out as we talked about, but Hochevar has been really a disappointment. 8 games under 500. Bullington, what? Matt Anderson, Detroit. Chris Benson was in there, as well as Paul Wilson by the Mets. And it was Paul Wilson who was with Pulsifer and Isringhausen, you might remember. Right. And Brian Taylor, he was the next great thing for the Yankees in '91. Ben McDonald, who I found it very interesting to hear his comments as Molina is the first hitter here in the bottom of the 5th. It was the media that was really going to Ben McDonald, it seemed like, more than anybody else, to talk about what Steven Strasburg is going through, because McDonald was about as highly touted as Strasburg, certainly the best player available in that draft, at least at the time, and was also looking to sign for big money. So they would continue to ask him about, what would you tell him? And Ben would say, get your money, which is going to be plenty, but sign and enjoy it. You know, get there and enjoy it.
And there are no guarantees. Remember Taylor, young kid, and as you said, he was supposed to be the next coming. Well, he ended up getting in a bar fight.
That's right.
And
hurt his arm.
Hurt his shoulder. I don't believe he got out of Double-A.
Now, there are some great players that get overlooked in every draft, as Molina hits it slowly to second base for the out. And let's go back to Hochevar. There was Evan Longoria, and for position players in 2006, it's going to go down as one of the great drafts ever.
Yeah, I remember Longoria wasn't even drafted out of high school.
Right. Tim Lincecum was in that draft, Clayton Kershaw. And Lincecum told me when they were through earlier this year that teams stayed away from him because of his size, despite the fact that he was a remarkable talent in college, and that he also told any team that drafted him, I throw with a unique style and I'm not changing. This is how I do it, and if you don't like it, tough, but I'm not changing. And Rasmus is 0 for 2. We'll go over some of those other drafts momentarily. This date in history brought to you by Schnucks. Christian Guzman becomes the second player in Nationals history to hit for the cycle August 28th of 2008.
And Guzman was in the first lineup that we were presented today, but he has a bunion problem.
Here is Smoltz. Hits it in the air to center. That will carry back and stay in the ballpark. Caught on the track. Smoltz is 0 for 2. It's a 1-1 game as we head to the 6th. What's on Tap is presented by Bud Light. The difference is drinkability. Mitchell Boggs will make his 8th start for the team tomorrow and his 9th appearance this season. Last start for the Cardinals was back on the 18th. Might remember at Dodger Stadium, a 7-3 loss. He only lasted 4 innings in that ball game. And we'll come your way at 5:30. It's our Bud Light What's on Tap. It's 1-1 here in the top of the 6th.
Boggs was sent back down, and then when Loesch got hurt, he was brought back, so he hasn't pitched since did not pitch in the minor leagues and pitched since LA. Or playing shortstop today, but down at AAA he was playing third base because they have a young phenom shortstop. And remember, he broke into the big leagues with the Atlanta Braves, so teammates. So with Willie Harris, the center fielder, with John Smoltz.
Good pitch with the breaking ball.
He's been very effective with that backdoor breaking ball, as he's finding more success leaving it out there on the outside part of the plate than getting it inside. There's a good breaking ball there. John told me when he was working out at Georgia Tech and before the Cardinals signed him, he found a little mechanical flaw where he was just kind of
Play made by DeRosa.
his right foot was cocked a little bit to where it was blocking him off, and he was throwing across his body. And if you're doing that, you can't really get those lefties.
Aflac trivia question tonight. Who is the all-time leader in complete games and shutouts for the Expos Nationals franchise? How about Pedro? Steve Rogers.
He was a good one for the Expos. I'm sure he's still living in Oklahoma.
So were Chuck Finley the other day, was inducted into the Angels Ring of Fame. Finished up with the Cardinals.
We never saw him at his finest either.
He still was pretty good too.
Yeah, but
here's Zimmerman in a 1-1 game, and that's in there for a strike.
and that was when Joe Torre was the broadcaster for the Angels. That was one of his all-time favorites.
Steven Strasburg was 3 days old when John Smoltz made his major league debut. It's in Washington's bullpen. So there's going up and down that roster and that list. 1-2 the count. Two and two. Here it comes. Off the end of the bat, Brendan Ryan with it. Up and throws. You saw some of the circles on that scorecard to signify, I believe, who made the last out of the inning. So you have an idea of where to go. Am I right or am I wrong?
Yes, you are.
Right.
That's very good. Yeah, you are right. Because I wasn't sure what they meant.
Now, I've talked to some guys that say that they do keep like that, a lineup card, knowing who's coming up and where to go, but each guy will put little notes by it too, so that afterwards, and it'll be a much bigger page, they'll collectively go over the notes of what they all saw. Hey, this is how we should pitch to this guy.
I remember
You see the white out there.
Yeah, as Orr was replaced Guzman. So you still got him down on the extra Orr, but that should be Guzman, a switch hitter down there.
Remember, Dunn did not like called third strike last time, and really a gutsy pitch by Smoltz after he had walked Zimmerman in the fourth. He went 3-2 on Dunn and then backdoored that breaking ball to get him out on strikes. Dunn reaches for it, corks it down the right field line, but foul.
Well, we talked about how left-handed batters have really had their way with John Smoltz, and a little bit the way he was blocking himself out with his mechanics. You know, you don't allow yourself to get that pitch in on him. So maybe they've kind of abandoned the breaking ball coming all the way in, tying up a left-hander and just using the outer portion, the backdoor slider.
Like that, little check swing, and did not go. Smoltz, you could see he really wanted that.
He wanted it, you know, I mean, just like, you know, you're trying to help sell it to the umpires. And remember, you know, here's a Hall of Famer out there, so, you know, he has a little more credibility, and
just hoping he didn't throw out his back.
Or pull a rib cage muscle, you know, a pectoral muscle. Being a good actor.
Here's a 3-2 with 2 outs and nobody on. Swing and a miss. He struck him out. Dunn slams his bat. That ties his longest outing of the season. Home fans getting a treat thanks to John Smoltz. So it's a 1-1 game. Cardinals half of the 6th. John Smoltz with 6 strikeouts tonight. Twice he has gotten Adam Dunn. And it's Lugo, Ryan, and Pujols.
That could be a possibility that he is through for the night, as Hawksworth is starting to throw. There you see that slider grip. See that spinning action on there, and see how the bottom falling out.
Well, he's thrown a lot of breaking balls tonight, hasn't he?
Yes, he has. And
when he was a closer, it would just seem like it was automatic. I mean, you got to the 9th inning, it was over.
Well, remember, a lot of times, you know, you got a closer who's got one exceptional pitch. That's, you know, that's where Franklin kind of is extraordinaire in that department, because he has so many different pitches. But Smoltz just had 3 superior pitches that he could throw for strikes at any time, and just a, you know, wealth of knowledge of how to retire a batter.
1-2 the count.
Time to give Lannon a little credit too, isn't it?
Yeah, he's pitched well, and that's why I think that his record is a little bit misleading. 8-9, but 8 wins for this team. You know, and they feel that he's been competitive in most of his starts. 2-2 pitch. Spoiled.
I really have time with Jim Riggleman before the game. He's saying their problem is not offense. Their problem is pitching. And Lannon was their opening day starter, and up to his last 4 starts where he's really struggled trying to get his sinker down. That's not the case here tonight. But Jim was talking about, you know, what really hurt them was, remember, Zimmerman, their young right-hander. He's out with Tommy John surgery. Remember the young Latin player who pitched a great game against the Cardinals? He's in AAA.
Base hit into right center. Go ahead run is on. Lannon at 60 pitches. So the experience of John Smoltz. Talked a little bit about Steven Strasburg. Well, Smoltz made his major league debut in 3 days when Strasburg was born. Lannon, well, when he was born, Smoltz a senior in high school. Colby Rasmus, he was born while John Smoltz was pitching for the Lakeland Tigers, the single A team for Detroit. How about that?
John Smoltz was a non-drafted pitcher. Traded to Atlanta for the Doyle Alexander trade, but you know, a lot of people forget Doyle Alexander helped the Tigers win. I think he might have been 9-0 after he went over, but in the long run. And you know, it's kind of like the Larry Anderson for Jeff Bagwell. Sometimes trying to win a pennant, you have to pay a stiff price, and you just never know. But at the time, it's worth it to try and win or go into postseason play.
Now, beginning of the year, you would say, well, if you bunt it here, then first base is open, they walk Pujols, and you don't know what you have afterwards. Now it's a completely different scenario.
Put a lot of pressure on that manager trying to make those decisions with Holiday behind Albert. And remember the other day, Cecil Cooper walked Albert, and that was the difference in the win.
Hit to third, and a wide throw. Lugo is safe at second, and here comes Albert with 2 runners on as Zimmerman maybe trying to do a little bit too much.
Well, you're absolutely right. He lost his balance, and then he went ahead and executed the throw not under control. So a little bit what you talked about. You know, he's very aggressive. Watch him see he loses his balance. He didn't have the handle, and then falling away, he throws the ball and throws it away. So it's his 15th error of the season, and many times it's just trying to be a little bit too aggressive. He should have just, you know, either gone to first base, conceded he couldn't get the lead man, or even just put it in his pocket.
So here is Pujols twice. He is tapped back to the pitcher, Lannon.
Well, you think maybe he'll? No, I don't think he'll be sacrificing.
See, now if you're John Lannon, you're saying, okay, I've gotten him twice, I can get him this third time, and this is when Pujols then rips one. Well, since July 24th, that's when the Cardinals got Holiday. Albert is hitting just .280. In the air to right field. Dukes over, makes the catch. And Lugo was not tagging up, so he's back to the bag at second base, and Albert is 0 for 3. Boy, Elijah Dukes looked like at the last second he put his glove up to make the catch.
I'll watch him run over here, and yeah, just gets a glove over there, but it looked like he kind of surprised him. Glove almost hit him in the face.
Now we say that Pujols is slumping out since
280.
280, 6 home runs. The RBIs are there.
You know, Holiday during that time has hit 7 home runs with 29 RBIs. DeRosa actually has hit 8 home runs since he's come to the ball club. Let's see if Holiday can't pick up Albert.
And a 1-0 pitch. Holiday rips it foul. When I see Jim Riggleman, I think about his time with Chicago. And when it's all said and done, if you sat them down in a room, Riggleman, Dusty Baker, Lou Piniella, and asked them truly their thoughts on managing in Chicago and why the franchise has struggled all these years. I mean, those guys would know firsthand.
Well, there's no rhyme or reason for it, but it is very difficult. You know, it's a 9-to-5 job. You get up in the morning, you're battling the morning traffic, and when the game's over, you get the you know, the 5 o'clock traffic. But you have to be very disciplined to play in that city.
1-2 pitch. But you would think
A lot of
time.
Rush Street has killed a lot of players' career.
It's not been easy on broadcasters.
You know, you just don't see them as players take much better care of themselves now because they're under such a microscope.
1-2 the count with 1 out and runners at first and second.
I did have a teammate one time that would take a set of clothes today to the ballpark so he'd have something to wear tomorrow at Wrigley Field.
Holiday hits it to third. Zimmerman steps on the bag, and this will be a double play. The Cardinals waste a very good opportunity. Sends us to the 7th. 1-1. Cardinals baseball on Fox Sports Midwest is brought to you by AT&T. Switch to the nation's fastest 3G network. AT&T, your world delivered. The Jeep summer clearance is here. Get to your Jeep dealer today for some of the best deals of the season. And brought to you by Taco Bell's new Volcano menu. It's seriously spicy. Busch Stadium is the scene. Doesn't even look real, that shot right there. Beautiful Busch Stadium in downtown St. Louis.
Well, John Smoltz is through for the night, so 6 good innings in his second start for the Redbirds, and turns it over to Blake Hawksworth. Chevy called to the bullpen.
And Blake now appearing for the 19th time. And opponents hitting just 240 against him. 2.63 the ERA. Here's Willingham, and the first pitch is a strike. There was a lot of talk that Josh Willingham was one of the bats that could have been moved at the deadline by Washington, along with Adam Dunn.
And he's been swinging the bat well. You know, just 294. He's got 21 home runs, 57 RBIs. He's got 5 multi-home run games this year, including the big game against Milwaukee where he hit 2 grand slams in the same game.
Milwaukee leading their game tonight 8-4. Boy, last year Milwaukee had Sheets. They had Sabathia rolling at this time. And now it's a different story, although they have gotten Dave Bush and Jeff Suppan back, but not the same as those two going down the stretch last year. Just missed. 3 balls and a strike. Chicago beat the Mets today 5-2. And the Mets are mulling surgery again for Jose Reyes. Popped up on the infield. Lugo is there. Saturday, August 29th. That's tomorrow. It's photo night here at Busch Stadium, and gates will open up at 4:15. So bring your camera and arrive early to go on the field. You'll get up-close pictures of the players. World Series trophy will be here. It's photo night tomorrow. And again, the gates open at 4:15.
Got any good memories from photo days?
You know, I liked going down on the field just to be on the field. And I got to see Ozzie up close. And for me, that was a thrill.
And it's probably the most frustrating thing is you walking along and you got all these people and you know they get an opportunity to take a photograph, but they want to get autographs, and you know, you really have to kind of gracefully say, you know, I can't do that. Bergman throwing now in the pen, and you know it helped fans realize that if the players started signing autographs, he wouldn't get all the way around the field.
I have a question for you, Al.
Yes, sir.
Why does a pitcher have to get out of the way on a pop-up that's on the mound where realistically he doesn't have to battle the mound because he's already on it to make the catch?
Well, because it's very simple. Anytime you can avoid having the pitcher be involved, you do so.
Now, I would counter that and say, well, John Smoltz, that's a pretty good athlete. That's hit down the left field line off the bat of Elijah Dukes and into the corner. So he rips it fair for a 1-out double.
And the answer to that is John Smoltz, being a great athlete, probably wouldn't
get out of the way.
He would call it himself and make sure that he knew he was under control. But Dukes really rifles this ball. This kid's got a lot of talent, but he's got some baggage that goes along with it. And hopefully he'll get that all ironed out and be a very productive player. He's 2 for 3 tonight.
I talked to him in Washington and found him to be very gracious and very nice. Elijah Dukes.
That's good to hear.
1 out and a runner at second base. And this is Josh Bard. Bard is struck out and also grounded out. Elijah was telling me about his football career. You see his body out at second base, and he can run. Big man. And that's hit into right field and a base hit. Dukes will score easily, and Washington has the lead. Throw will go into second base, not in time, and Josh Bard has given Washington a 2-1 lead. So back-to-back doubles. Bard picks up his 24th RBI, 2-1 Nationals.
See the location of this pitch as movement, but it's elevated a little bit, and you got to remember too, most left-handers and especially switch hitters like Bard, they really are majority of the time low ball hitters from the left side, high ball hitters from the right side.
Here's Gonzalez, singled and scored back in the third, and that's ball 1. Some of these pitches that look pretty good to the outside portion of the plate on the right-hander.
When I see Hawksworth really get his ball down, great movement, but see, that's up, you know, and that's not, you know, he gets an out of it, but not ideally where he wants to throw it. Just enough inside to jam the hitter.
Pujols takes it himself. Bard winds up over at third.
Productive out, and now they'll see if they pinch hit. It looked like they pulled back Guzman, and now Landon's going to hit for himself.
Yep. So he was not at the on-deck circle. I'm sure maybe in his mind, he might have shut it down and said, My night is through.
Yeah, that's a great point. It's a fatal mistake. But sometimes, you know, the manager sends out, he had Guzman at the on-deck circle, but then with 2 outs, even though the runner's at third, he pulled him back. Put the pitcher out there.
Backhanded by Lugo. And gets Lannon. Time to stretch here at Busch Stadium. Cardinals trail for the first time. It's 2-1. Our GMC quote of the day from Hall of Famer Frank Robinson. If I had one wish in the world today, it would be that Jackie Robinson could be here to see this happen. And that was when Frank Robinson was named the first black manager in baseball. St. Louis Cardinals, the Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services, and Fox Sports Midwest have joined together to encourage young people not to smoke, because once you start, it's hard to stop. Strike out tobacco so we can all breathe easier. Call the Missouri Tobacco Quit line at 1-800-QUIT-NOW.
Taking hello to Mr. Jim Berlinger. Everyone at Fox C6 schools wish him to get well and hope to see him back at school soon. Happy birthday to Julie Breckenridge. She's 27 today. So we'll see if that strategy that Jim Riggleman, not taking a shot at an extra run by allowing his pitcher to hit, and really was a nice play by Lugo to keep it a 2-1 Nationals lead.
Here's Ryan Ludwig.
Interesting how Jimmy let Lannon go back out there, but he's got the bullpen active just in case.
Well, Doyle Alexander, by the way, was traded for Frank Robinson. How about that?
Later on,
he was drafted in the late 1960s. Made it to the big leagues in 1971, but then traded to Baltimore, and Frank Robinson was part of that deal in the offseason. The connection to John Smoltz. Ground ball hit to third, and Ludwig retired. Pitch in for Healthy Smiles with Delta Dental and the Cardinals. Purchase a $2 raffle ticket for a chance to win an autographed baseball by Albert Pujols and join the Smiles League. Proceeds benefit local charities that help kids have healthy smiles. For information and to buy your tickets, please go to smilesleague.com. And that's hit out of play. Doyle Alexander went 9-0 with Detroit, 1.53 ERA. And DeRosa hits it into right. Dukes is back near the wall with a couple of steps and makes the catch. 2 away.
Dukes just drifting back about midway on the warning track. And with this cooler summer we've had, a lot of these balls might have been out on the typical hot summer nights, but not so much this year.
Here's Yadier Molina. You have to give Washington some credit here tonight. Lannon's pitched well.
There's no doubt about it. If they get some pitching, they're going to score some runs. They've got some veterans, and on the offensive side.
And Molina chops it. Lannon lets it go. Gloved by Zimmerman. Cardinals go quietly. Played 7, 2-1 Nationals. Let's take a look at the game recap presented by Infinity. John Smoltz in his home debut tonight. Great ovation from nearly 40,000 here tonight when he first came in from the bullpen. And Smoltz, he struck out 6 on the night. Really had that backdoor breaking ball working here this evening.
And that's going to be it for Hawksworth, as Tony will make a pitching change and bring in Reyes.
Reyes coming in as we step aside. Denny's Reyes in our Chevy called to the bullpen for the Cardinals. And so Denny's comes in and he will start the inning despite the fact that he did not go out initially to warm up. Now he is all loose and ready to roll. 61st appearance for Reyes this year.
5th time he's been in the 60s. Of course, last year, career high 75 appearances. And boy, Harris almost walked into that fastball as he was showing bunt. Lefties are batting .225 against the veteran southpaw.
Singled back in the 3rd. Two balls and no strikes. Right-hander getting loose for the Cardinals in the pen. 2-1 Washington.
It's Jason Mott, who hasn't pitched since Sunday in San Diego.
Washington with a run in the 3rd, and they took the lead with a double, back-to-back doubles last inning. 3-1.
Reyes has been struggling a little bit and hopefully kind of fine-tuned things a little bit in San Diego as he pitched in 3 of the 4 games. He did pitch against the Houston Astros on the 27th yesterday, a 3rd of an inning for his 16th hole.
In the air to shallow center, backing up Brendan Ryan, and the Cardinal shortstop puts it away for the out. Tomorrow, Cardinals and Nationals, and Boggs will get that start. We'll come your way at 5:30. Here's Pete Orr. And Zimmerman on deck. That pitch taken a little bit low.
Or second consecutive batter showing bunt is DeRosa playing in, guarding against it. Or a pretty successful return to the big leagues today.
Ground ball to his left. Lugo makes the play. 2 outs.
Will we make a pitching change now? Do have Dunn on deck, so Tony may or may not.
Ryan Zimmerman with 2 outs and nobody on.
When he's trying to get Yanni's attention to say, you know, hey, make sure you, if you walk him, I'm not so.
You want to pitch around him?
Yeah,
you can.
pitch around him. You know, you.
Zimmerman is grounded out to short. He has walked and struck out. See Molina setting up about a foot outside.
And of course, the ball was in the middle of the plate, but down for ball 1. Reyes is doing it his way of pitching around him. Not hitting the target away, but he's making sure those balls are on the ground.
That's outside. 3-0.
That's a good pitch. I mean, right there, if he hits that, he's just going to punch it to the right side at best. It's going to stay in the ballpark.
And a walk to Zimmerman with 2 outs. So we'll see Adam Dunn in the lefty-lefty matchup here. Second time that their fine third baseman has been on base. So a 2-out walk, and here's Dunn. 0 for 3 tonight with a pair of strikeouts.
Now this time with the runner at first base, you got Lugo playing 20 yards back into short right field, and Ludwig on the warning track. Brendan Ryan playing on the second base side of the bag, and DeRosa playing up the middle, the only infielder on the left side of the infield. Your third baseman playing shortstop.
Now if he could bunt, he could push that down the third base line and be a guaranteed hit.
Remember Gary Gaetti, they'd put a shift on like this the opposite way, and Gary would never try to hit the ball right field. And yet in batting practice, he could go, you know, if he purposely did it, he could just drive the ball to right field all the time, and you wondered why he wouldn't do it in games.
Remember, they did the shift for Edmonds one time, and he dropped down a butt.
Yeah. You feel they're taking hits away from you. That's one way to get them back to normal positioning. But you're right. Anything down the third baseline, there's no way they can get him out.
1-1 pitch. And done. It's a to Lugo on the outfield grass, can stay with it and makes the play. Second time that has worked for the Cardinals tonight with Dunn up. Colby Rasmus coming up.
Let's go to our pitch-by-pitch feature. Reyes, breaking ball out there. Molina's putting it out there. Then the fastball on the inside part of the plate. Gets a strike. Back 2-1. Now look at the defense. You see where the shortstop and second baseman are. And let's go back as he throws the ball right in the wheelhouse. And Dunn hits it hard, but right to Lugo, playing short right field. Getting late, Dan.
And a postseason hero for the Cardinals. Now at second base, Belliard. Excuse me, at first base. And so Belliard tested right away.
How about Ronnie's haircut?
New look.
Oh, yeah, he just looks like a ball player now. But I kind of like Ronnie Belliard.
So Green will be the pinch hitter here. Khalil Green. Last home run for Khalil Green was one of his best series, if not the best he had, wearing this Cardinal uniform against Kansas City at Kauffman Stadium. He's got 5 home runs this year.
Kind of finding himself used more as a pinch hitter. Does have RBIs in 4 of his last 8 games.
You know, Lannon was almost out of this game, and now here he is 5 outs away from pitching the whole way.
Well, he does have 2 complete games on the year.
3-0. Working quickly, but maybe too quickly here against Green.
That's a good point. Late in the game, you know, you try and set a tempo, but you fall behind 3-0. He does the right thing by just taking a little breather. Try and reassess things, get yourself back under control. And trying to be aggressive, but there's a point of being too aggressive.
82 pitches on the night, and Green hits it out to deep left field, to the wall, and it's gone. It's a home run. Pinch hit home run for Green, and this game is tied 2-2.
In that dugout is extremely happy for Khalil Green. Battling something we really can't relate to, but this will make him feel better as he got the ball up and drives it just enough to get over the wall for a home run. His 6th home run of the year, and this is the biggest.
Isn't this something? They want a curtain call from Khalil Green.
These fans are amazing, aren't they?
They know what he's been through.
Probably going to be a pitching change, so we got time for him to curtain call. Look at the smiles on all of his teammates' faces. Look at the glove supposed to be on the ground, and really just in the middle of the plate. Bell tie, and boy, Khalil just jumps on it. Does he have enough? Just enough to sneak over the wall.
Lannon still in the game, and that pitch outside to Lugo.
As pitching coach out to pay a visit, but kept him in there. I was getting worried because we've never lost a game on the 10th anniversary of Steve and Gwen Fooney. But they're here celebrating their 10th anniversary along with their 3 children, Grace, Matthew, and Evelyn. And their Cleet, their grandfather, I'm no Cleet, and Butcher back home, probably cheering on the kids and the Cardinals. And you're talking about 87 pitches, so still should be something in the tank.
And Lugo slices this down the right field line. Nice catch by Elijah Dukes.
Yeah, he hit that wall hard. Looked like he slipped a little bit right before he got into the wall.
Tell you what, that's a good play.
Yes, it is. Of course, he's got a man's body. There you see the collision, and watch him come over here and see if he doesn't slip a little bit. You can't tell from that angle, but he hits that wall hard, and very nice play as that padding doesn't do a lot to soften the load.
Here's Brendan Ryan. Reaches forward, grounds to short. Low throw, and the pick by Belliard. Khalil Green off the bench tonight has tied it up with his 6th home run. It's 2-2 after 8.
We're tied at 2 as we go to the 9th at Busch Stadium. Don't forget, coming up after the game on the post-game edition of U.S. Cellular Cardinals Live, Pat Paris and Rick Horton are at Lumiere Place. They'll break down John Smoltz pitch by pitch. Tony La Russa's post-game news conference will have that as well. And Al Raboski will be handing out a hungo. It's all coming up after the game. For now, we send it back to Dan and Al. Gentlemen.
All right, Jim, good job. 361 feet, the distance of that home run, and that pitch at 98 from Mott, who should be plenty rested, as Al told you he hasn't pitched since Sunday in San Diego.
Effectively wild.
Ooh, that'll get your attention.
Sure it will. And keep you from diving across the plate.
That's right.
98 again.
Numbers on Mott. Popped up and out of play. 1 ball to 2 strikes.
Been a real learning experience for Jason Mott this season. And remember, Chris Perez and Mott, everyone wanted to anoint them the closer, and Dave Duncan, rightfully so, said, you know, hey, wait a minute. This guy's got a lot to learn. And for their development, the best thing is, you know, pitch in that bullpen for a couple years in a lesser role, and then as you gain the experience, you can take that over maybe in a couple years. But where would we be without Ryan Franklin?
2-2 game here in the 9th, and a 1-2 pitch. Shannon Frichter, a former employee over at the Blues, here at the game tonight with her friends, and her mom and dad were supposed to be at the game tonight, but her dad passed away from cancer, and they had bought tickets to have the family come out. This is a ground ball hit to short, and mom wanted to stay home because dad was supposed to be with them, and we wish nothing but the best for Connie Frichter, who is watching at home, and her daughter is enjoying baseball tonight. Certainly we miss Dan Frichter, who has passed away. This copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the St. Louis Cardinals and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the St. Louis Cardinals. We certainly miss Dan. Our thoughts and prayers with the family. That pitch is fouled back, and Dukes is trying to put Washington back on top. That pitch at 99.
All you have to do is just center the ball. That 99-mile-an-hour velocity will provide the distance, as that ball will come off the bat quicker than it's coming in.
A check swing, and He went. Dukes can't believe it, neither can I.
These are little things where Duke really kind of, gets himself in trouble, where things that are beyond his control, he'll worry about an umpire's call. And
remember
the
last
home
year?
run? Yeah. And, young players got to learn that those umpires.
Dukes hits it down the right field line. It's well hit. And that'll hop off the wall. Dukes will stop at second base. Remember, he had a walk-off home run and looked back at the home plate umpire. After he hit the home run, he was upset in that at bat over some strike calls and eventually won the game. Or those one of those things where put your head down and run, like you're saying.
And remember, after he ran around the bases, then he said something to the umpire after he crossed home plate.
Baseball Tonight brought to you by Budweiser Select. Full flavor, 99 calories, the exception to the rule. Bank of America. Cardinals banking only at Bank of America. And lock in $1.49 a gallon. For a year's worth of gas, visit your St. Louis Hyundai dealers today.
Now, Dan, he hit a game-winning home run then. Now he just hits a double. So maybe he should get mad at umpires more often.
And that was a breaking ball that time by Mott. Ooh, almost threw it to the backstop at 98.
See, when you're throwing 98, 99, learn how to control it. But you're doing a hitter a favor by throwing him the off-speed pitch. Now, when you're throwing 92 and your ball straight and you're throwing it down the middle, maybe that's when you need to work on that. But when you got your exceptional fastball, just learn to spot it.
It was Dukes and Bard that went back-to-back with doubles in the 7th. In the air, shallow right. Who wants it? Ludwig, 2 away. By the way, the Cardinals, looking ahead to the bottom of the 9th, they've got Pujols, Holiday, Ludwig all coming up. One of the best parts of the game tonight, introduction of John Smoltz walking in from the bullpen. But as you talked about, Al, the smiles of the players after Khalil Green hit that home run. They are pulling for him big time.
Yes. Bergman is warming up, and then after Dukes' double, their closer, Mike McDougal, is just starting to throw in case they take the lead.
Remember, he was so highly thought of when he was with Kansas City. He was closing games for a while. Then he was with the White Sox. Very hard thrower. He's a guy like Mott that will throw that 98, 99.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that comparison between Mott and McDougal, but maybe he's figured things out after some lean times after a great start.
Popped up right side. And that'll find the seats and get out of play. The Angels thought they had a deal for Scott Kazmir of Tampa Bay, but apparently that fell through the last second. And Mike Scioscia saying before the game tonight that there's nothing imminent, and they need help in their rotation. The Angels do.
That's interesting because the Rays still think like they're in the wild card race, so they would have to be getting something in return that they thought was beneficial to their team.
Reported that they were going to get a pitcher and a third baseman for their minor leagues.
Goria, huh? Need some help there.
Good point. Catch made near the foul line by Ludwig. Chance to win it for the Cardinals when we come back. Hardy's prime cut of the game. The 6th home run by Khalil Green this season. Little toe tap and away she goes. A big one in the 8th to tie it up at 2-2. Hardy's prime cut of the game. The Cardinals' last 6 losses. Well, the result for the Cubs, they have lost as well. So the Cubs could not gain any ground when the Cardinals have lost.
Well, that means the Cardinals are going to win this game because Cubs won today. So see if Albert going to be something. See something here in the 9th inning. The crowd is ready for it, aren't they?
First pitch to Pujols. Oh, what a cut.
He heard what they were asking for.
Now the Cardinals, their record right now coming into play tonight, 74-55. They need just 16 wins in their final 33 games to reach 90. And that means the Cubs then would have to go 27-10 in their final 37 games to get to 90 wins. So it's going to be very, very tough for them to do that.
And of course, if You go ask Tony La Russa and you talk to him about anything like that, he would get very upset with you.
Pujols, left field, game winner! Just to the right of Big Mac Land. The Cardinals win it. Albert hits another, number 41. Boy, they're having some fun here in 2009. Albert Pujols, the game winner.
Crowd asked for it. He delivered.
No doubt about number 41.
Oh, no. As ball right there, belt high. And he did not miss it, his 41st home run of the year. He scores now his 100th run of the season. 9 seasons, he's done that 8 different times. You're looking at one of the greatest hitters of this generation and of all generations of baseball.
Post-game show coming up.
Game is over with a dramatic walk-off home run from Albert Pujols as the Cardinals take care of the Nationals 3-2 here on Fox Sports Midwest. Getting started in a moment with U.S. Cellular Cardinals Live. Rick Horton will join me here at Lumiere Place, the Aqua Bar. Let's take another look at it. Albert Pujols, no doubt about this one, to lead off the bottom of the ninth, his 8th career walk-off. All that and John Smoltz's home debut coming up on U.S. Cellular Cardinals Live.
Welcome to U.S. Cellular Cardinals Live.
Cardinal fans giving John Smoltz a standing ovation before the game. Albert Pujols receiving a standing O after.
Pujols, left field, game winner! Just to the right of Big Mac Land. The Cardinals win it. Albert hits another, number 41.
Albert Pujols makes the Cardinals a winner against the Nationals in the first game of a 3-game series in dramatic fashion. His 8th career walk-off homer, first since July 13th of 2006. And the 3-2 victory starts the celebration and will celebrate the magic number down to 26 now for the Cardinals to wrap up the Central Division. Lumiere Place, downtown St. Louis, home of the Cardinals Live post-game shows after Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night games. And we come to you live from the Aqua Bar during Cardinals Live. Stop on by and say hello. We welcome you inside the Aqua Bar and welcome you to U.S. Cellular Cardinals Live. I'm Pat Paris. Rick Horton making his way over from Busch Stadium. He'll join me in just a moment. We'll break this one all down. We'll go inside John Smoltz's numbers, and Rick's going to break down his pitches. He was very good tonight, gave the Cardinals an opportunity to win, and then it was a couple of solo home runs, Khalil Green and Albert Pujols. Khalil's in the 8th, Albert's in the 9th, and it's a walk-off winner. Don't forget, a Hungo Award's going to be handed out tonight. We'll have to wait and see who that's going to be. Also, you can get involved, Cardinal fans, in tonight's show. Send us a text message, 432-432. Remember to include your first name, where you're texting from in that message. Standard rates do apply. Rick and I will get to those a little later on here on Cardinals Live. Right now, it's back over to Busch Stadium. Just a short time ago, as our Jim Hayes catching up with Albert Pujols, our Mid-America Chevrolet Dealers Player of the Game. Jim?
Albert Pujols sends Cardinal fans home happy with a home run in the bottom of the ninth. Obviously, you got something that you could handle.
Well, definitely. I mean, I feel that I was putting good swing. I think I was chasing bad pitch. You know, my first 3 are bad, but I think you need to give the credit to Khalil. I mean, you know, the guy doesn't get in too often and come in big to try the ball game right there. I don't think it gets any better than that, you know. You need to give the credit to Hank, obviously, because he keep us alive, you know, to try win the game in the bottom of the ninth.
Well, you guys, on a number of different occasions, have a different hero stepping up. That's what a team's all about, right?
Definitely. I mean, we haven't swung the bat pretty good. I think our pitching for the last 3 weeks has been our hero. they're keeping the ball down, keep us in the game all night long. But you know, hopefully our offense can score a couple of runs here and there, you know, to give us some run support to our pitchers, you know. But you know, it doesn't matter at the end of the night. As long as you get the win, that's what it's all about. You need to give credit to those guys on the other side. I mean, they're playing pretty great right now. They have a young ball club, but you know, they got some talent out there, and that'll show you. They pretty much shut us down the whole night.
Let's give a little credit to John Smoltz making his Cardinal debut, you know, in St. Louis. A lot of pressure. He was outstanding tonight.
It would have been nice if we would have got the win for him, but you know what? I think he takes that. He keep us in the game. I think you know, that ball that they hit over there to first base, I think I could have made that play. Give me a little tricky hop, but you know what? He's been doing it for 22 years. Unbelievable, you know. And the bullpen coming out and the starting, it's just unbelievable. And I mean, coming up here and help us out to win, and hopefully we can continue to win and to reach our goal, which is getting in the postseason. I think it doesn't get any better than that. So I think he deserves a lot of credit too. 42 years old, 22 season, a bunch of surgery. I don't know how he's doing it.
Last thing, then we'll let you go. If we're giving out credit, how about the crowd tonight? They were awful loud.
Well, they were loud, you know, and honestly, I thank God for giving me the opportunity to sing all these people happy, you know, tonight. I know I've been struggling at the play a little bit, but I know it's going to come around sooner or later.
The curtain call for Khalil, that had to mean a lot to him.
It's awesome. Like I said, he deserved that, you know. I mean, that was the big hit of the night right there, Khalil Green.
Thanks for the time, Albert. Good job. All right, Albert Pujols, we send it back to you, Pat.
All right, Jim, thank you very much. Our thanks to Albert as well. Let's go from the field at Busch Stadium up to our Fox Sports Midwest broadcast booth. Time for a view from the booth. Dan McLaughlin, Howard Bosky, here to tell us all about what we just saw. Well, we saw a lot of dramatics and fireworks in the last 2 innings from the Cardinals.
Well, we sure did, and we started the telecast talking about 5 guys to watch out for in 55 seconds here tonight. So let's review it with the 5 that we picked. And who stood out tonight? Well, of course, Albert Pujols, but John Smoltz, 6 innings. You have Lannon, who pitched very well, 8 innings, deserved really to get a win tonight. Holiday, Willingham, and then Pujols with the walk-off home run. A lot of neat moments, though, tonight, from John Smoltz walking in from the bullpen to Khalil Green to the walk-off home run.
Oh, very much so. There's so many factors in there, but like Albert said, this crowd was exceptional tonight, and they started by applauding Smoltz coming in. Khalil Green was a very special moment, his first career pinch hit home run, and gets the curtain call from these fans that are so knowledgeable and understand what he's going through. And then it just seemed like the crescendo started there in the bottom of the 9th inning with Albert Pujols coming up there, and yeah, lo and behold, he rewards the fans for their great fan support with the walk-off home run.
So the Cardinals win this one, and we'll come your way tomorrow at 5:30. We've got the Hungo Award coming up later in the show, Pat.
Always looking forward to that on Friday nights, guys. Thanks very much. We'll check in with you in a little bit. How about the highlights from this one? John Smoltz makes his Busch Stadium debut. This is coming out of the bullpen. A standing ovation for the future Hall of Famer wearing the birds on the bat for the first time in St. Louis. Top of the first, Adam Dunn up with 2 outs and a runner on 30. Hits a hard grounder to the right side. Julio Lugo in position perfectly to get him at first, just barely for the final out. Top of the second now. Josh Bard up with 2 outs, and Smoltz ties him up with a beautiful slider for his first strikeout at Busch Stadium. 27 pitches, 18 for strikes for the first 2 innings for Smoltz. 1-1 now. Adam Dunn leading off in the 4th, and on a 3-2 pitch, Smoltz freezes him with a backdoor slider. 4th strikeout of the game for Smoltzy, and it's still tied into the bottom of the 6th. Dunn up again, and once again, Smoltz gets him, this time swinging over the breaking ball. Strikeout number 6. That do it for the future Hall of Famer. 6 innings, just 1 run allowed. Cardinals try to give Smoltz some run support. Bottom of the 6th, first 2 men are on after a Pujols line out. Matt Holliday's up, and he grounds into the 5-3 double play to end the inning. The Cardinals only able to muster 3 hits through the first 6 innings. Top of the 7th, Blake Hawksworth on in relief of Smoltz, and after giving up a double to Elijah Dukes, Josh Bard goes down, pulls it to the right, down the right field line. Dukes scores easily, back-to-back doubles, makes it 2-1. Nationals on top. But on to the bottom of the 8th, the Cards finally get another run off Lannon. A pinch hit home run to left field off the bat of Khalil Green. His 6th homer of the season ties the game up at 2, and Green is issued a curtain call. Then in the bottom of the ninth, Albert Pujols leads off facing Jason Bergman. 8th career walk-off home run of Albert Pujols' career. 41st homer of the season and 108th RBI. 3-2. Cardinals with the victory thanks to Albert Pujols. And the capacity crowd standing as the fireworks go off. Albert rounds the bases. 40,033 watch the celebration at home plate as they mob Albert. And it's been one of those magical kind of seasons, and it certainly was tonight, as you get a solid start from John Smoltz. They battled against the lefty Lannon and finally get the tying home run from Khalil Green, then the walk-off home run against the bullpen of the Nationals. 3-2, they're a dramatic final for the Cardinals. And a lot to talk about certainly tonight here on Fox Sports Midwest. Rick Horton making his way over. We'll talk about Albert's dramatics and heroics. We'll talk about John Smoltz making his St. Louis debut wearing the birds on the bat as we continue on U.S. Cellular Cardinals Live. Right now we're going to talk more about the home runs in the bottom of the 8th and the bottom of the 9th. The Cardinals up against it, against John Lannon, the lefty tonight for the Nationals. Not getting much going, in fact, just 3 hits against him until this pinch hit home run with 1 out in the bottom of the 8th by Khalil Green. Home run number 6 on the season for him, and he gets a curtain call from a very understanding Busch Stadium crowd. They know the trials and tribulations he's gone through this year. And then it was Albert leading off the bottom of the 9th. El Hombre delivers his 8th career walk-off home run. By the way, the Major League Baseball record for career walk-off home runs is 12, held by several players, including Stan Musial. So Albert well within reach of that. Number 8 tonight, and his first walk-off homer since July 13th of 06 against the Dodgers. And again, they mob Albert at home plate. Albert certainly enjoyed this one. He did watch it for a moment, and a little bat toss. It was an emotional game for the Cardinals. He mentioned it during the post-game interview with our Jim Hayes that this team has been struggling a little bit with the bats lately, and tonight was another one of those times when they were fighting it offensively, but just enough offense to help the Cardinals improve to 18-6 in the month of August, and now 11-2 against lefty starters since the addition of Matt Holliday to the lineup. So starting to get the lefties figured out. They didn't really figure out Lannon tonight until they were able to get him out of the game, certainly in the bottom of the 9th. I believe we're going to go to Tony La Russa now. He just met with the media a few minutes ago. It is wrapped up. We're going to bring you it in entirety, brought to you by the Sheet Metal Workers, Local 36.
Which time? I mean, certainly, you got to, I mean, which is the more important one? You know, Khalil? Khalil doesn't do that. We're going to face McDougal tonight, not the Bergman's piece. So we had to, I mean, what just almost an unexpected win the way, Lannon was just handcuffing us and swing, tied, swing, celebrate. That's why this game is incredible for lack of trying to figure it out. You can forget it, just enjoy it. You can mess around a little bit trying to figure it out because sometimes it happens, but most of the time, surprise, surprise.
Say unexpected, but at what point, given what's going on here, does it almost become expected that y'all are going to pull these out?
What we expect is that we're not going to give up. I mean, we made a lot of really weak outs, and it just didn't look good. And first out by Kobe's, was another little ground ball. And Khalil goes up there and boom, it scores tied. I mean, Dave and I talked about in the dugout as far as how to work the 9th, because we did have 3, 4, 5 coming up. If we could get 3 outs in the 9th, we had a shot. But it just wasn't that kind of day where you definitely did not expect it. I just asked Albert, he'll tell you himself, but he was walking from the dugout out the steps, and he was talking to himself. And I couldn't quite hear. I asked him, he says, get something started. Just get on base, get something started, which is exactly what he should be thinking.
Pretty tough night for him, too. I mean, you mentioned.
I don't know if he'll talk to him, but I think I heard him say, one of the best days that BP's had, and he just couldn't center the ball.
Pretty nice moment, Khalil getting the curtain call.
Yeah, now I'm sure he was going out there, but the guys were yelling at him, including Albert, get out there, come on, you earned it. Very special.
I guess Smoltz wasn't nervous.
Huh?
I guess Smoltz wasn't nervous.
I bet you he was nervous. He just knows how to control it. I bet you he was nervous because he cares. He's a pro, he cares, but he's had a whole career of moments like that where he's had to remind himself to breathe and how to handle it. But I guarantee he was nervous.
Go ahead. In some ways, is this one more impressive than the previous one to come back on regular rest, to last a little longer? Yeah.
I don't know. I was really impressed Sunday. I was really impressed today. I mean, I just. So if you're really impressed, you're really impressed. Been impressed with his whole career, except when he beats us in those big games. Been impressed for a long time with him. I thought that was, we were all looking forward to the response of our crowd to John. When he walks in, that was wonderful. Takes the mound, it was wonderful. Take the at-bat, he even had to stop and acknowledge it. That was, you don't have many moments like that.
Well, one of the things he talked about, though, was getting time to kind of improve. So, I mean, if you accept that both were impressive, did you see an improvement there? I mean, he got deeper into the game. He got
I thought he
faced
did a good job
lefties.
the first inning. I mean, the guys got hits, but they were one of those. They were not. They were well located, and he strikes out. I mean, that's a big miss in the first. Strike out Zimmerman. So, I mean, if he pitches a shutout for 5 innings and 1 run in 6, you don't really have to improve much more than that. I mean, I think we'll take that.
How
is you doing? Just improve.
Yeah.
In his pitching.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the other way. How have you seen Khalil adapt to this new role?
I think Khalil, here again, I don't know if he'll speak. I think he is really excited to be a part of the team. He's excited to be feeling better. He loves to practice a game. He goes out and takes the ground balls. I mean, so I think it's such a big improvement over what he experienced this season that I'm not asking because I really don't want to about playing time, but I think he's really pleased with what I said. Pleased to be part of the team, pleased to be feeling better, and I'm certainly positive that he's excited he contributed tonight. This isn't the first time he's contributed, by the way, this year.
Beyond the obvious value to you guys in the game, though, to what extent is there value when a guy's not playing a lot to get that feeling of contributing to something like this? I mean, it just seems like
it's huge, and that's why what I try to do, and what I was taught to do, and what coaches and managers do, is you try to watch the quality of the practice with guys that aren't playing a lot. If you guys see a guy that's backing off the defensive work or the swings, or because he's pouting or something, that's a bad sign. And Khalil is practicing to the max, so it tells me that he's preparing himself for whatever.
To what extent do you look at the offense tonight as Lannon and kind of a cap tip to him, and also or part of what's been going on here for a week, just kind of some staccato at bats?
Well, I mean, I give Lannon a tremendous amount of credit. I think his location was outstanding. We kept taking the ball in the outside corner. I asked, whether they were really strikes, and I said, yeah, he was just nailing the black there. And so Ron Copa called a great game, and it's out there with movement. It's tough to get to. So he pitched a great game. I've already given my 2 cents about what our offense is doing. If you string together tough at bats and you got pitching against you, you're going to make outs. So, if guys are mediocre, then you get a lot of hits. But if you have a good offense like we have and you battle for 9 innings, you're going to break through some. But you just watch the scores. How many times? I don't care what the offense is out there. Who's scoring 7, 8, 9 runs a game? You don't do it.
Those guys were.
Huh?
Those guys were.
I didn't tonight. So it's tough to do in this league.
Very good.
That's all we got?
That's all.
That's good. Thanks.
We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Rick Horton will join me. We'll talk John Smoltz. Yeah, he's our Helitech King of the Hill. Break down all of his pitches. Stay with us on Cardinals Live.